Hey now my medieval bucket chicken lovers, it's time for part 2 of my early game combat tutorial for Kingdom Come Deliverance. This time we are going to focus on arena fighting, so that's fairer 1v1 combat, and we'll start off by showing how combat is like without master strikes and without combos. As usual, I'll be playing on hardcore difficulty with all negative perks. So let's go see what we can do and where our limitations are and how we can best overcome them. The first match will be against Jake the Steak. Now this guy isn't very strong, in fact he's the weakest arena fighter, and we can use that to our advantage. Jake opens very aggressively, but his stats are quite low, so you should be able to block his hits. Now that Jake has spent all his stamina, he'll become more defensive, and I'm going to try a 4 tempo strat in order to beat him. I open with a double feint, and then I continuously hit him 2 more times, and I'll try to go for a stab at the end. The idea is that with a longsword, you can just bully Jake into submission. You want to keep his stamina low by putting on a lot of pressure. This is where the 4 tempo comes in. But at the same time, do not overextend yourself. If you start going grey and run out of stamina, you should back off for a second. A lot of players make the mistake of playing too passively, even at high levels. And yes, against way higher level opponents you should be careful. But when you're evenly matched or high level yourself, you can dictate the tempo of a fight, essentially controlling them. Like what I do here, I'm trying to keep Jake's stamina low so that he doesn't chain attack me. At the same time, because his stamina is low, I can take away large chunks of his health with every attack. In this game, the strong get stronger and the weak gets weaker. When you start taking damage, your stamina goes down, and you start taking injuries, your stats go down, and you become weaker than you already are. This applies to your enemies too. By the way, here's a handy trick to tell how well you're doing in combat. Just look at the amount of blood on your sword as compared to your opponent's sword. If you have a lot of blood on your weapon, it means that you're taking away a lot of their health. When I say the strong get stronger, I mean it in the sense that as you level up, you get increased stats which make you powerful already. But then on top of that, you get perks which amplify your power even more. And then you get access to high level gear as well, which multiplies it way further. Okay, in this fight with Roebuck, I am going to speed the footage up because I'm going to try a low risk strategy. Instead of the 4 beat tempo, I'm only going to try a 2 beat tempo, which is to hit and then to react. That is to hit, and usually it means to do a perfect block. This strategy is good against opponents that will disjoin your attacks, usually with a perfect block or dodge, and follow up with a chain attack. It's still not safe enough to use against people who will convert their defense into master strikes very reliably. That is to say, it is not good against opponents in the second round or later. However, it is more than adequate to take out Roebuck. You can see me wiggling my weapon around like a madman, and that's on purpose. I'm trying to get the opponent to do a stand switch, and then I will try to feint from the opposite side. This gives me a greater chance to hit. Without using this and just attacking normally, Roebuck is just going to block all my hits and I'm just going to waste stamina. And once my stamina is low enough, he'll just hit me like 2 times and I'm dead. Now, as I am connecting and making hits, it's very important that I continue to keep the pressure on. The idea is that I do not want my enemy to fully regain stamina. I try to hit him, and my subsequent attack must land before he regains that stamina he previously lost. This way I can slowly chip him down, 1 bit at a time. Most of the hits I'm receiving here are from same time attacks. That is, he and I attack at the same time, but because his stats are so much higher and he's so much faster than me, he connects to me first and he cancels my attack. This is one of the worst ways to receive damage because it is almost impossible to block attacks like this. The good news is that Roebuck has probably taken injuries early on and his attacks do not do as much damage right now. I suspect he has injuries to his hand and probably his torso, which lowers his stats quite a bit. Blood is starting to accumulate on my sword, which is a very good sign. So I just continue up, keep on the pressure, and slowly chip him away. This battle took quite long, but in the end we got him down and defeated him. At this point I am quite worried because Pebble has took away quite a bit of my health and I have a head injury. So if he does a false edge on me one more time, I'm probably going to bleed out. And because I have that negative perk that causes me to bleed out even faster, any amount of bleeding is just bad. It's probably going to end my run. So at this point I'm trying to be a bit more careful, but at the same time I know that he is almost defeated. As you can see, he is way worse at blocking now. This is his injuries accumulating, His agility has gone down. His defense has probably gone down quite a bit as well. So I'm able to make more hits, which is great. And at this point I'm probably going to take off health as well, not just stamina. Alright, and with that final hit, he's down. Now, on to the next bout. This is when the shields come in, and I'll tell you, when you have low stats, shields are a real pain. Remember how important it was to keep up the pressure so that the enemy doesn't recover their stamina as you land your next hit? Well, shields kind of prevent that. They make the enemy much better at disjointing your attacks. So, even though I hit this guy like 40 times, all I'm doing to him is reducing his armor durability. And the only way I can defeat him is to reduce his armor down to 0 and then start hitting away at his meat. This is going to take a very long time. And this is how most of these bouts end. I hit them a whole bunch of times and they hit me like 8 times and I'm out. Clearly, we need a better way of doing this. So I'm going back to Captain Bernard and I'm going to learn combos and master strikes from him. To learn master strikes, you need a weapon level of at least 3 and then you need to beat Captain Bernard up. This is not difficult to do because his stats are lowered in this fight and he's much easier to beat than Jake the Stick. So try to practice your combos on him and your feints and whatnot. These practice battles are good at showing where your mistakes are. So for me, I make an out of range attack and Captain Bernard comes in to do a chain strike. And that's pretty common for me. I make this mistake all the time. Now that wasn't perfect, but it's enough to impress Captain Bernard, so he's going to teach us Master Strike. Now I should say that if you haven't learned the basics, like if you are not good at combos or feinting or doing Master Strikes, you should practice it now, because if you want to fight in low level battles, your basic techniques have to be on point. Okay, let's have a look at where our stats are at right now. At level 4, strength 4, I could have picked Clinch Master for a perk, but that ability is a bit too strong and too cheesable, so I'm not going to pick it. Our sword is at 3, and what else? Our warfare is at 3 as well. Yep, that's what I'm going in with. Defense at 2. We are going to gain a whole bunch of levels in the arena, so we'll do a stats comparison later on to see how much we've gained. Alright, we've already seen a fight with Roebuck at low tempo, so let's change it up and let's try a higher tempo attack. I am going to try to launch an attack and then follow up and do a combo. Unfortunately, my first combo didn't go off. The game has decided to eat it up. It seems like this happens when the enemy is staggered, like when your first attack hits and it staggers the enemy. It will sometimes disjoint your attack for some reason or another. It's very weird, I don't know why it does this. I tried to set it up a few more times and I noticed that Roebuck is blocking normally, which is great. Because a normal block doesn't really do anything. He still loses stamina when I hit, and he doesn't disjoint a chain attack. So, if anything, this is a lesson to everyone out there. Do not use normal blocks, they suck. Use perfect blocks instead. Wow, his sword went through me. That was supposed to hit me, but for some reason it didn't. I've seen that happen a lot when I try to hit enemies, but when enemies try to hit me and that happens, it's extremely rare. Okay, so I got the combo off, but that is not enough. The combo alone doesn't do health damage. I need to follow up with a stab to the face. This is extremely important. When I do a master strike or I finish a combo, it is always followed up by a stab to the face. Okay, that was like 2 minutes, not bad. Now let's go to the shields match. Again, I'm going to speed this up. As I said before, shield matches are very slow. They slow down the tempo by so much. It gives the enemy a lot of defense and it gives them the ability to disjoint a lot of attacks. So I cannot keep attacking and keep putting the pressure on. But what I can do is use master strikes when it's available and follow up with a hit to the face. Mace type weapons like this Warhammer, in my opinion, are the best weapons in the game. They just do so well against armor, and at high levels their master strike to the face can take out a knight in a single hit. It's ridiculously strong. So even though the tempo has been slowed down due to their shields blocking most of my hits, every time I land the master strike and follow up with a jab to the face, I'm still taking away a good chunk of health, which is a lot more progress than, without master strike and jabs. So if I keep doing this consistently, eventually I am going to win the fight. This doesn't mean I'm just waiting for master strikes though. I am still trying to land attacks and I'm still making attacks and trying to push my advantage. This is quite important against enemies like Pebble because you can speed up your progress by making these types of small attacks, and there's not much that he can really do to stop you, unlike the round 2 matches where the enemies can convert misses into master strikes very consistently. So as I'm attacking and I'm taking away his health, you notice that Roebuck becomes more and more aggressive. It seems like when the AI is on a shorter stack, they become more aggressive. This is kind of like in the dice game Frackle, where if they are on the losing side, they take much more risk. The same thing is happening here in the arena fight. Most master strikes are borrowed from combo finisher moves, So like you get the false edge master strike, and you get the one for beating the guy in the face. I can't remember what that's called. And you get the one for chopping his hand as well. So if you want to know what one type of master strike does, you can just look up the combo equivalent. There are some master strikes that are unique, like the one where you throw them, you go around them and you throw them backwards, and that one is pretty crap. And with that final hit, I win. Alright. Yeah, look at me, Roebuck. Look at me, Roebuck. Look at me. Look at me. Alright, next up is Sparrowhawk. The round 2 opponents are very passive. They just wait for you to attack and then they master strike. They're the most annoying kind of opponents out there. I'm going to see what kind of tempo I can dictate. So after I land a hit, I'll try to do a chain attack. If he master strikes me, I know not to do a follow-up chain attack. Okay, so I did a chain attack and he immediately does a wrist master strike to me. Essentially, this tells me that it is extremely dangerous to try to be too aggressive over here. I probe his defenses to find any weaknesses, using double feints as usual, but he seems to be blocking a lot of my hits. This means his defense is extremely high, and I should be wary of that. I do not want to get master strike to the face or get dislodged and then have him chain attack me, because that's how I lost to him so many times before. That was an unlock and a jab, and when I tried to follow it up with a normal swing, he master strikes me to the torso. This is extremely frustrating, but I just got to be patient here. One very important part of combat is your movement and the distance at which you keep your enemies at. So if you have a look, I'm trying to keep a bit of a distance between Sparrowhawk and myself. I do not want to attack when he's way too close, because in hardcore mode sometimes I cannot see what's really happening and I need to know when to block, and I do that by looking at his arms. When he starts swinging back or when he moves his arms, I usually press a block button, and I can't do that if he's if he is in my face, you know. Alright, so I finally managed to get a master strike off, and I follow it up with a jab. This is the first real bit of progress I've made in this fight thus far. Back to distance, I do not want to be too far either. I want to be at a distance where I can hit them, but if they try to hit me, I can back away from their hits and disjoint them that way. But I do not want to be so far away that my own attacks miss and they can come in with a combo that I cannot block, like what we've seen with Captain Bernard in the previous clip. Okay, my sword was supposed to connect there, but it didn't. It went through his face. Sometimes these things happen in this game, and it shows you that sometimes even if you do everything right, things can still turn out really wrong because of random bugs like that. The reason why master strikes are so good is not only that it's accurate and it specifically hits certain body parts, it's that it reacts after the enemy has spent their stamina doing an attack and that attack fails, and you do further stamina or health damage to him when your master strike succeeds. On top of that, most master strikes will cause your opponent to stagger, allowing you to make further attacks like that jab to the face, which is so important. And that is why playing defensive in this game is much more advantageous than being aggressive. It's because you can convert your enemy's mistakes into your opportunities, and you can do so in such a big way that when you're high level enough, it might just kill them in a single stroke. Alright, I've taken down Sparrowhawk's health at this point enough for him to become very, very aggressive. So he's trying to neutralize my advantage by getting cheap shots in, and so I have to be very careful at this point. If he manages to combo me, I might lose everything, including this match. But because he is so aggressive, his stamina reserves will be quite low, and any hit that I can land at this point will be very big. Unfortunately, I lost my window for pulling off master strikes there. I was a bit too evasive and too far away. So I'm trying to keep up the pressure by opening with some attacks. Unfortunately, that lands me a master strike to the chest basically. Back on the topic of aggression and defensiveness, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be aggressive, because if your opponent is low level enough, being defensive is just a waste of your time. Just if you can steamroll the guy, just steamroll the guy. Alright, finally an opening. In this game at low levels, you have to be patient and wait for your openings. At higher levels, you can create the openings by being aggressive. Alright, finishing with a wrist master strike after a series of hits. All in all, not too bad. This could have gone a lot worse, and it has for me in the past. Okay, for this next part, I'm just going to speed it way up. This part is ridiculous. The matchup is hunting swords and shields, and in my opinion, the hunting swords and the sabers are the worst weapons in the game, the absolute worst. This match took 20 minutes for me, and it resulted in a loss anyway. And I was still making headshots, I was still doing master strikes to the face and then followed up by jabs. But unfortunately, when I'm holding the hunting sword at such low levels, it does very little damage. And the way it jabs, it hits the chainmail more than the face, and that negates basically all the damage that I would normally have done with other weapons. So while the saving grace of the saber is that it's a very agile and light weapon and it doesn't take up a lot of stamina when you use it, the hunting sword, however, is pretty heavy, and it's just slash based damage, which means it's only good against unarmored opponents. But you know what else is good against unarmored opponents? Everything else, even hand to hand. You can just beat someone down with your fist if he's unarmored. I think I just had a mini stroke there, just thinking about how bad the hunting sword is. Okay, let's just cut to the end. Even with this sped up like 3.5 times, it's still ridiculously long. Yep, despite me hitting him like 30 times, including many times to the face, I did basically no damage to him. And all he had to do was just crit me in the head once, and I started to bleed out and die.
The combatants will engage in a duel with warhammers and shields.
Oh, this time he's in trouble though. I have Warhammer and Shield. The Warhammer, basically the most OP weapon in this game. Even though I am under strength and I started with 0 points in mace, I am going to win this fight simply because I have the power of the Warhammer on my side. Yep, every time I land a master strike with this weapon, with the Warhammer, he is going to take so much damage. But I cannot be too reckless because he can master strike me as well. And if he master strikes my face, there is a chance that I'll die in 2 hits from full health. That has happened to me before with Sparrowhawk. He has killed me so many times with his combo and reactions and master strikes to the face. The downside of Warhammers and other type of mace weapons is that it has a very short reach but a very high knockback. So it's very possible to knock your enemies a bit too far away and your follow-up attacks all miss. And this can disrupt your combos, which is pretty annoying. This means that you might have to take more risk and try to be a bit closer to your enemies, and of course there's a lot of downsides to that. So you play how you want. When I am very high level, I just go in their face and just jab and attack and try to do combos and stuff. But when I'm low level, I'll try to keep my distance at a very specific range, and you can see my movement here. I'm just going in and out, just trying to be careful, just trying to keep that very specific range. Okay, so he has hit me in the head once and I've taken like half injury damage. I do not want to be hit anymore in the head because it might cause me to bleed, and as I said before, once I start bleeding that way, I will probably lose the match. Alright, that's Sparrowhawk down.
Deciding duel is Henry of Scarlet, and he will face the victor of many previous tourneys and a combatant today too, Peter, called Black Peter. Welcome our warriors.
Okay, now we face the infamous Black Peter. He is way more aggressive than Sparrowhawk, which is a good thing for us, because it gives us more chances of making a master strike. But it's really bad if we miss our chance to perfect block or dislodge his attack, because he's just going to follow up with a combo that can instantly kill us. So far it's going well. Like hitting his head, like headshotting him this early in the match is an extremely good thing. It lowers his stats in general, it lowers his stamina, it lowers everything, and it puts us in a much better position for the rest of the fight. I'm still going to be a bit more careful in this fight than compared with Jake the Snake or Roebuck, because if Black Peter launches an attack at the same time as me and he cancels my attack, Black Peter has a very high chance of following up with a combo and then another set of attacks, and which will basically end the fight for me. For Roebuck and for what's his name, Jake the Stick, they don't really have the chance of doing that. While I do some feint attacks and try to get a few hits in from time to time, I will never try to do a chain attack while I'm this low level against Black Peter. It will just invite disaster. Missing up my jab follow up to that master strike tells me that my range is a bit off. I'm a bit too far away right now and I have to adjust. So I'm going to try to do that and remain safe. That's much better. Missing your follow-up jab after Master Strike is going to be like 50% of your damage, maybe higher, in a single sequence of attacks. So you always want to be at the correct range. You do not want to be too far away. Judging that his health is low enough, now I'm going to start making a bit more aggressive openings and see how that turns out. Unfortunately, Black Peter is showing that he is still able to master strike me no matter how injured he is. That means that I have to switch back to a more defensive style of play. Once again, my sword just phases right through his head. It's very annoying, but I've seen this so many times, I don't know what to say. So one thing I've noticed with stab attacks is that sometimes it invites an unblockable reaction, and that can be pretty bad, but the second follow-up attack that the enemy makes is blockable and master strikeable. So if you want to take a high risk move, you can try to stab them, and when they hit you with their first attack, just take it and then try to master strike their second. Now the funny thing is that if you use unlocked attacks, the chances of you succeeding in your first hit is much higher. But with unlocked attacks at very close range, there's a chance that the enemy can just follow up with like 5 hits or something and you can't block any of them. Okay, next up is short sword and shields. Now, this is something we can work with. Short swords are so much better than hunting swords. If you jab the face, it will actually hit the face. I'm actually very surprised that this second hit landed. Like, usually it doesn't, so I'll take it, you know. Wow, he is eating Master Strike to the face after Master Strike to the face. This is quite rare indeed, and I'm very lucky that the dice are rolling my way this time. There's a lot of blood on my sword and very little on his, which is a very good sign. It means I'm way ahead. But just as you saw how the combo he unleashed on me just now was pretty scary, I have to try to be careful that such things do not happen again, because his combos are absolutely deadly. At this point, he's way too close to me, so I do not want to try and attack. Not yet anyway. This really is based on feeling. Like sometimes when the enemy is at the wrong distance, I feel like I shouldn't attack, and this is one of those times. So I'm just trying to back off a bit, but he keeps coming forward, and that makes it difficult to keep distance. Okay, so what happened here was that the Master Strike where I tossed the enemy around went off, and that is not the Master Strike I want. It's one of the weaker Master Strikes because it can unlock your target, and when that happens, you will not be able to do a follow-up. And what you saw was that after I Master Struck him and I tried to do a jab attack, he instead Master Striked me in return. I'm just lucky that this wasn't one of the more dangerous strikes. Okay, that was a disaster. I tried to attack him and he immediately Master Strikes and follows up with a chain attack. I'm just glad that he is very injured right now, so that his damage is a lot lower than what it should be, and I somehow managed to block most of his attacks. If I didn't and he carried out a combo, like a finisher combo, I think the fight would have been over. The result has got me really scared, so now I'm pretty much afraid to attack. I mean, eventually I will, but I am super on the defensive right now. This is purely a psychological mindset kind of thing. At this point my health is also pretty low. You can see from the blood accumulated on Black Peter's sword. So I do not have many chances left. Okay, good hit, good hit. At level 3 sword, I did take a short sword combo. The one where you do a shield bash to the head or you step to the head without a shield. But I'm not even going to attempt it in any of these matches, because with sword and shield my second and third attacks will just be disjointed by the enemy. There's really no point in it at this level. Wish I could show it off to you, but I need to be at a higher level before I can effectively pull that off. In this game you have to adapt to your enemy and adjust your tactics and your tempo in accordance to who you are fighting. So against Black Peter, I'm going to be a bit more careful, a bit more methodical, and a bit more simple with my attack types. Oh wow, it looks like Black Peter has bled out. That means I won. Poor Black Peter, he spent his entire life training for this. And Henry, on the other hand, he literally just started yesterday.
You have just witnessed the final duel in today's Ratai tourney, for which we all owe gratitude to Sir Hanush of Laipa. All glory to the victor, Henry of Skalitz, man-at-arms in the company of Sir Radzik Kobila. His prize will be given to him by our gracious Sir Hanush.
Alright, let's do a stats comparison with before I started and after I finished. It looks like I gained 5 levels in defense, Wow, that is incredible. That must have been due to all the master strikes. I didn't gain much in anything else, like 2 for sword and a couple of points for mace. That's alright. 1 point for warfare, that's going to help. Yeah, but I think the biggest change is just defense. Okay, let's go back out there and collect our prize. Sahanush, I'm here. Here to collect the prize. No, not you, Mats, not you. Go away. These peasants are just pushing me around. It's showing me no respect. What the hell? Finally, about time. Almost looks like he was trying to avoid me. Okay, you guys stay on a bit and I'll show you a hilarious cheese you can do with Black Peter. Uh-oh, it looks like someone's really angry at us. I'm going to do the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing and take the high ground. Surely Black Peter's a skilled enough fighter to know that he has to give up if he doesn't have the high ground. Yep, he's decided to give up. He's decided that not having the high ground it's too much of an advantage for me. I'm going to knock him out and take him somewhere quiet and deal with him discreetly. That sounds really wrong, but don't cancel me, please. Okay, to the back of the mill you go. To the back of the mill we go. Uh-oh, he's woken up. And he's decided to phase through the walls. Yes, that's some superpower that he has. Well then, I'm going to use my superpower too. It's called standing on the cart. Yep, just ignore me. Just ignore the guy poking holes into you. Okay, so for some reason he's decided to throw away his sword and shield and fight me hand to hand. It's a very Sigma male move, yeah, but come on, man. This game is great, but sometimes the AI just makes the game unintentionally hilarious. And oh my god, the AI can be so stupid in this game. Wow, you know what? Black Peter is actually doing very well for himself. His defense stats are so high that he can dodge a lot of my attacks. And I'm not really going through his armor. I think I need to change something up. I'll try unlocking my attacks and see what happens. Meanwhile, Matt is just wandering around, chilling out. You know, just taking in the scenery. It's... yeah, I don't know, it's just really funny to me. I haven't unlocked my attacks yet, but I'll soon do it, then we'll see if there's a difference. Right now he's blocking almost... well, he's not blocking, he's just dodging most of my attacks. He can't really make any attacks of his own, so that's fine. Okay, yeah, so there's a huge difference when I use unlocked attacks. He's running into my sword, it looks like. The AI is not able to time my attacks that well anymore when I unlock it. So he's just walking into my sword and getting hit in the face. I wonder how many hits in the face he can take. Ow, he's actually punched me. Okay, let's see you try to do that again. Yeah, that's what I thought. Wow, he can take a lot of hits to the face.
I'm over here.
What the hell? Is he going to walk away? Oh, no, no, it's a trick. It's a trick. Very clever of him. Oh my god, finally he's dead. Okay, okay, time to take all his stuff and walk into the sunset. Alright, thanks for watching guys. I hope this video has been a help, especially to those who have difficulty in combat this game. For part 3, in my next video, I'm going to show how to fight multiple opponents. And I'm not saying like 1v4 or 1v6. I'm saying like insane numbers like 1v10 to 1v20. I'm going to show you how you can handle those numbers in this game. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.